When I was a kid, there was a period of time spanning a few months where I was absolutely obsessed with one thing and one thing only. Yep, you guessed it, the Backrooms. I'm sure you've heard of this worldwide horror phenomenon before. I mean, that's the reason you clicked on this video in the first place. These endless mono-yellow walls combined with the continual fluorescent buzzing of lights. However, over time, the obsession faded away just like most other childhood obsessions, and I never bothered to think about the Backrooms and give myself another existential crisis while sleeping at 1 a.m. until one day, the day that I discovered a piece of music, an almost revolutionary piece of music, at least for me, that changed the way I viewed harmony in and of itself. And look, I know what you're thinking. Koduk, how the heck does that relate to the Backrooms at all? Look, we'll get to that part in a bit, okay? Just bear with me here for a sec. Anyways, that piece was none other than by Russian composer Sergei Prokofiev's Vision Fugitives. Yeah, I know, that was quite the underwhelming answer, especially to those who know the piece. It's literally just a collection of 20 very short pieces for piano students, ironically, that represent the idea of fleeting dreams. Soundscapes that come and go almost in the blink of an eye, that it's hard to sort of recollect this journey Prokofiev takes you through, just like a real dream. And in this seemingly forgettable and unmemorable piece, I was completely hooked. Somehow, this piece, even upon my first listen, gave me a feeling I've not felt in any other piece of music I've ever heard. Like, why does this piece sound almost familiar in a way, like an array of distant memories from my childhood that appear out of thin air? That was until I read one specific comment from the beloved YouTube comments section. A very dangerous place, albeit. It's a scary world out there, dear viewer. No, but seriously, this one comment changed everything. It's like stumbling into a liminal space. So that's what it was. That sort of nostalgic yet uncanny feeling from listening to these seemingly innocent short pieces was the exact same feeling I got when looking at a liminal space. And before I knew it, I found myself sort of re-obsessing over these unsettling rooms that were once full of life, but now are nothing but an empty shell of the past. And through this one singular comment, I was led down into a rabbit hole deeper than I would have ever imagined in discovering liminality through music, and who knows, maybe even writing some liminal music of my own. So, dear viewer, this is the story of how I composed the lost and exotic music of liminal spaces. Now, first of all, we have to answer the question of what a liminal space even is. And to understand what a liminal space is, we first have to know the definition of the word liminal. Now, according to Google, the word liminal means a transitional or sort of in-between state, space, or phase, hence leading to the name liminal spaces, or in other words, transitional spaces. Okay, so to try to get a better understanding of this, let me give you an example. This is Bob. It's 2:30 a.m. and Bob is incredibly sleep deprived, so he shuts his computer and heads to his room to sleep. Where Bob is right now is the living room, point A, and Bob wants to get to his bed, point B. So the hallway to his bedroom would be considered a liminal space. Got it? Not sure if that's the best explanation, but, that's the best I can give. And I think it's good to mention that for liminal spaces, there's not really a set-in-stone definition for them. It's more like the vibe you get from looking at a liminal space. This nostalgic, uncanny, or empty feeling that you get that determines whether it's a liminal space or not. So, now that you know what a liminal space is, let's get into the more nerdy stuff, the fun part. How to make music sound liminal? Yeah, that sounds like a rather stupid question, right? And in all honesty, when I first started this project, I had absolutely no idea how to even comprehend this question either. Like, seriously, what even makes for music to sound liminal? Now, Once again, just like in liminal spaces, there's no set-in-stone rule in how to produce a liminal-sounding piece of music. However, after studying iconic soundtracks like The Caretaker, 647, and some other liminal-sounding pieces of music, as well as binge-watching YouTube videos about liminal spaces and whatnot, I think I can roughly tape together a few techniques that can help infuse liminality into music. Credit to Shenvoya for coming up with some of the techniques I used. Now, dear viewer, brace yourselves because I'm going full nerd mode. Technique number 1, delayed resolutions. You see this dominant 5th chord right here? You know, it just really wants to go to that C major chord. Like, what if we just give it what it wants? Oh, it's tempting, isn't it? But you slap it at point blank, and it instead goes to an unexpected minor 6th chord. So instead of sounding like this, it sounds like this. Basically, no matter how much you want to resolve the 4th and dominant 5th chords, delay the resolution. Save it for the important and pivotal moments. Technique number 2, inversions. Alrighty, let me go over inversions 101 with you, dear viewer. This is a normal major triad. Now, what happens if you take the bottom note and put it on the top? Boom, first inversion. Now take that new bottom note and yoink it to the top. You got second inversion. Use these 2 inversions more for a less grounded and meandering sound fit for liminal spaces. Technique number 3, repetition. Another important aspect of liminal spaces, which I forgot to mention earlier, is actually repetition. I'm not going to start explaining as to how repetition makes for a good liminal space, because otherwise this video will be 13 hours of me yapping, and plus, this guy already covered that in his video, which you should totally check out, by the way. But the point is, there are easy ways in making repetition through music that can really bring this liminal atmosphere to life. And finally, technique number 4, soft dynamics. One thing that basically 99% of liminal spaces all share in common is that they have no people in them whatsoever. And what better way to make the listeners feel overly self-conscious of themselves than to make the music mostly be quiet? And with that, my friends, are the 4 main techniques I came up with to really get this liminal vibe going in my music. So, did you survive my yapping, dear viewer? Didn't die of boredom or anything? Oh wow, impressive! Great job, dear viewer. You get a star. Now, there's only one thing left for me to do. Start bragging about the piece of music I created for this video. Alright, and without further ado, let me introduce to you my cycle of 16 piano pieces titled Dreamscapes. I'll be going over a quick summary of each dreamscape while doing everything in my power not to bore you despite my terrible editing and animation skills, but yeah. With that being said, please enjoy! Number 1. The first dreamscape on the list. This humble little introductory piece was actually not originally written as a dreamscape. In fact, I started composing this piece almost a year ago and made 90% of the piece on paper. Cool stuff, eh? Now, this dreamscape has a few interesting things going on. First of all, there's actually no defined key signature. Even the main melody seems to sort of meander between the 2 keys. Heck, even the B section isn't grounded in one specific key. You enter in D major and end in A major. There's no set key signature. And you know what? I think that's actually quite fitting with the very definition of the word liminal itself. Transitional, not grounded in one place. Number 2. Roseate Clouds. This dreamscape is one out of the 3 dreamscapes that has a dedicated descriptive name to it. I gave only these 3 dreamscapes names to them because I wanted the performer playing these pieces to, envision a specific description as they're playing it, while most of the others are up to interpretation of the setting. And overall, I think this dreamscape makes for great fun. Perhaps you're leaping upon fluffy pink clouds without a care in the world. Number 3. This one is the only waltz out of the 16 dreamscapes. Emphasis on the quotation marks. Because let's just say the main melody is a bit funky, because it's entirely in 3/4 time signature, not 6/8, but the left hand is in 6/8. So, Funny coincidence that a different, way more famous piece by Maurice Ravel uses that exact same technique. I mean, it's not like I plagiarized him or anything. No, of course not. Like, I definitely did not steal his original idea into this dreamscape. Why would I ever do that? Okay, I'm gonna go shut up now. Number 4. This dreamscape is in fact the longest one out of the bunch, and also used to be part of an unfinished sonata, but I decided to move it here because, I don't know, I think it sounds very dreamy in the first place. Here in dreamscape number 4 is where we introduce an important characteristic of liminal music, and that is the uncanny. Because as dreamy and sparkling as the music is, it's got some sudden uncanny dissonances in there as well, which reflects not only the nature of liminal spaces, but IRL dreams as well, with their constant unpredictability. Number 5. Dreamscape number 5 might just be one of my personal favorites of them all, because it's just so incredibly comforting and nostalgic. Honestly, I think there's not much more to say about this one. You just gotta listen to it for yourself. Number 6. Alrighty, so, okay. Dreamscape number 6 is a rather unusual one, and it's the first dreamscape that really, and I mean really, brings up the uncanny vibe. I honestly don't really know how to explain it, but in simple terms, it just sounds so strange. The best way I can describe it is that the music seems to be meandering through endless dark hallways with random outbursts of bittersweet nostalgia, while the same is true for random outbursts of sheer terror. All in all, you really don't know where the music is gonna go with this one. Number 7. So, funny thing, as of recording the script for these dreamscapes, I have not even started working on number 7, or 8 for that matter, so, I'm just gonna, skip these two, okay? You okay with that, dear viewer? Yeah, we'll just see whatever the heck I come up for these two, okay? Number 9. This specific dreamscape holds a special place in my heart. Number 9 was actually the first dreamscape that I fully completed, ironically, and I think it's definitely one of the most nostalgically beautiful dreamscapes of the bunch. You know, I definitely owe a lot to Prokofiev here for the inspiration for this dreamscape from his Vision Fugitives number 8, which, by the way, is literally one of my favorite things on the entire planet. I highly recommend giving it a listen. Number 10. Oh god, I've been yapping too much. This video is gonna have an absolute dog crap retention rate. Okay, wait. I'm gonna have to speedrun the next 6 dreamscapes. Let's get it. Number 10. What can I say about this one? Because it's just absolute bliss. Such fun and dreamy music, like revisiting a very joyful memory you had as a kid. Number 11. This one has a lot of influence from rather crazy French composers like Charles Kerlan or Olivier Messiaen with all the luminous extraterrestrial harmonies. Surprisingly, there's a constant major 9th interval throughout the duration of the entire dreamscape, and yet this one interval somehow makes the music all the more mystical and mysterious. Number 12. Oh gosh, okay, this dreamscape is where things officially take a turn for the weirder. This one's creepy, like some sort of childhood play place you used to love, now turned unfamiliar, and most of all, uncanny. How many times is this dude gonna say that word? I also used quite a bit of minor 9ths in this dreamscape, and if you have no idea whatever the heck a minor 9th is, well, let's just say they sound a little something like this. Number 13. Honestly, I think this one might be the most terrifying dreamscape out of all 16 of them. It's just, so innocent sounding. Almost too innocent. The entire dreamscape is set in this really sparse and floating musical setting where even the tiniest sudden dynamic change can disrupt the extremely fragile atmosphere. And as this one YouTuber put it, yo, that's the same guy from before. What, bro, this guy is like a freaking expert in liminal spaces. Terror is the feeling of dread and anticipation that comes before the horrifying experience. And what is that horrifying experience, you say? Well, it's none other than, of course, Dreamscape number 14. You know what, I'm not even gonna try to explain this one, just you'll know what I mean when you listen to it. Number 15. So after all the fear and anticipation built up to number 14, number 15 finally finds some rest from this unending terror. However, that's not to say that the music is necessarily in peace. Well, actually, it's quite the opposite. There's a constant sort of sluggishly yearning quality to it, which I know doesn't make any sense, but you gotta bear with me here, man. I suck at explaining things. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we've almost reached the end of these perpetual dreamscapes. So without further ado, last but not least, we have number 16. Honestly, I really think this dreamscape is the perfect one to end off the piece. You see, dear viewer, it's got the name Quasi-Nocturne, but the reason I named it that and not, well, just Nocturne is because the first half of the dreamscape represents the last moments of dreaming before the second half, the Nocturne in the real world. The first half is most strikingly similar to Messiaen, with a chorale-like opening and these strange glistening figures in the right hand. And the Nocturne is just the most melancholy thing out there and finally breaks the techniques that we established earlier now that we finally exited the dream realm. And with that, my friends, is a summary of all 16 dreamscapes. I know, I spent way too much time talking and you're probably sick of hearing my voice, me included, so go enjoy the full video of all 16 dreamscapes out now, right here. Like, yeah, it's right here, you know, the top corner right there. You see it? You see? Yeah. You can click that. You can click that there. It's gonna be a good video, I promise. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye!